Hi, I'm Karen Bonaker, the founder and digital painting instructor for Digital Art Academy. I'm excited to show you my new set of custom brushes called Klimt and Art Nouveau, which I hope you will enjoy. I could not think of a better artist than Gustav Klimt to explain how to work with them. I've always been fascinated by Klimt's unique style and the use of his color and patterns, and I believe his techniques will complement these brushes perfectly. Gustav Klimt was an Austrian painter who founded the Vienna Secession movement in 1897, and he's known for his paintings, murals, sketches, and other artworks that often feature symbolic themes. He also used gold leaf and decorative patterns to create a distinctive style that influenced Art Nouveau. Some of his famous works include The Kiss, Portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer, and the Beethoven Frieze. Klimt's art was interesting to look at because it combined realism and fantasy, tradition, innovation, beauty, and mystery. He drew inspiration from various sources, such as classical mythology, music, and Japanese art. He also experimented with different techniques and materials, oils, mosaic, collage, and fresco. And he challenged the conventional norms of academic art and expressed his personal vision and emotions. So let's start with the brushes you can use to create your Klimt-style painting. I provided two sets of custom brushes. Many of these brushes were created with another one of the new features in Rebelle 7, textures and dual brush options. And I'll show you where you can get started with these. These brushes allow you to achieve a greater level of depth and complexity in your artwork. The dual brush options can be adjusted to combine different brush textures for unique and stunning effects, and a secondary brush that influences the primary brush. Create an extra brush with its shape, spacing, and other parameters that follows the main brush. You can add or remove parts of it from it according to the blend mode as well. For example, multiply overlay. Rebelle 7 also introduced something I'm very excited about, metallic paint, which can emulate the effects of gold leaf on canvas. So let's get started. I've provided you a sketch to get going with for this tutorial, and I think it's a way of you being able to start developing your own expression as you go forward, because everyone's going to approach things a little bit differently. And I studied the art of Klimt for some time, so I was able to maybe incorporate some of how he achieved certain effects, some of the amazing patterns that he was able to produce with the brush that we are going to try to emulate here digitally. So in the first set, we have several brushes this is the Klimt set. The dust, burnish, and burnished pattern brushes here work very well to create a kind of an underpainting, that place where you start to build up the canvas and build up the textures and the patterns going forward. So do spend a little time with these brushes, get yourself set with the right color scheme. You can see here that I kind of stayed more with the blue, orange complementary colors there, and worked, of course, with metallic paint, which is just amazing to work with these brushes. And I think you'll really enjoy this effect. There are several other brushes that you can use here, and as I'm going forward with from the sketch image, I'll show you how to use these brushes and how to get the best effects from them. The second set is called the Art Nouveau set, and it's more traditional Nouveau style stamping brushes that you can use to create what you see here. Some of these amazing shapes, the look of diamonds and flowers and all kinds of great shapes in, of course, metallic. Now, you don't have to use metallic. You can turn metallic off and on as you're working, but I think the whole idea and the story that Klimt was definitely telling is metallics were part of his process, and metallic gold, especially gold leaf, was used quite a bit in his work, and I think it'll really add a lot to your painting. So let's get started with a sketch, and I'll help to get you built up to the final image. I know you're going to be excited to get started with these brushes, so I want to show you the basic way that I built this up from top to bottom. And we're going to start on the base layer, which I used the Klimt Dust Burnish Pattern and Burnish Canvas. Now, let me select the pattern brush here first, and I'm just going to pick up a gold color. And you'll note that we do have the metallic material layer enabled, and we know that by the little diamond icon that is now situated on that particular layer. If I turn it off, you can see that we get a flat look. As I turn it on, you'll notice that we start to get that beautiful metallic effect. Now, in the visual settings, which can be activated from the F12 shortcut key or from the layers panel, you'll want to have that open because you want to be able to work with the metallic reflectivity, scale, and strength as you start to build. Now I'm going to increase the brush size, and I'll say right away that a lot of these brushes, if you don't use a stylus, you'll be able to dab these brushes beautifully and create some beautiful effects. Now I'll zoom in close so you can see this. This brush has built-in texture that's been applied to it. And how do I know that? Let's go over to our brush creator and open that up and take a look at some of the aspects, the recipe that this brush contains. We'll notice that it is a custom shape. We'll notice again that this brush has some very custom grain applied to it in terms of the actual grain. And then if we go into the textures, we can see right away that a background texture has been added to this brush. So if I click on that, you'll notice that I've created, and actually I created this from a structure in black and white, and I added it to my textures to create the effect that you see here, this beautiful raised. This is also set to blend mode hard light, and you can see some of the other aspects that I've set in terms of the brush itself. Now, these are brushes that you can certainly go in and customize even further yourself, but you can see how the beautiful texture comes through. This one is called Burnish Canvas, and it has a beautiful kind of canvas look to it. This is one of my favorites, and it's a beautiful brush for going over existing brush marks in case you just want to soften those little areas down and give more of a textural canvas effect. There is the pattern, and there's a Burnish 2, which is another brush here, which has kind of a raised effect to it. It's more of almost a splatter look, as you can see. So this is one that I think you'll also enjoy. And then there's the dust brush, and this is just a default dust brush. It's kind of more like a pastel, originated, of course, from the pastel brushes, and I've just simply added it in here for your convenience so you can use it. Now, please note that because we're working in the oils and acrylics, we have this opportunity to also use multicolored brushes and dirty brush mode with these brushes. So you can understand that you can get some really beautiful effects going forward. So I would start off by toning my canvas and building up that texture in the background. And I'll open up the next layer here and another couple of layers because I want you to kind of see where the stroke, where the sketch comes into play. And you can see that I have the sketch set at the very top of my layer hierarchy. I have it set to multiply. And why did I do that? I did that because I want to be able to see the sketch on the layers below. So it's giving me that visibility through the layers below. So this is something that's important as I start to develop the piece. And I've also locked that layer just to make sure I don't get in there and start painting on it. And on layer 4 here, this is a layer that I've also set with a metallic mode, so I can start going into it and working further to develop this. You'll notice when I hold the shift key down, I can kind of change the reflectivity that's coming through. This is very layer based. Now I can also lock this, so it means that if I move it now, all this metallic is locked into place and it's not going to change. I don't actually like to do that till maybe a little later, so I'm going to keep that off, but I can always change how strong this metallic effect is by working with the sliders. And this is why I say keep that open so you can go to it and use it extensively if you need to. So let's go ahead now and take a look at some of these other brushes. Let's take a look at the variable texture, and let's have the brush creator open so we're always aware of what's going on with this brush in terms of the shape, the grain, and some of the other elements that have been added to it. You can see that this particular brush is set to tiled. I also like to work with rotation. I'm using the Wacom Art Pen, and for me, I absolutely enjoy having the flexibility of 360-degree rotation of my brush, and there is not another brush on the planet that can give you 360-degree rotation. So it's a very special Wacom Art Pen brush that I really enjoy working with. So now what I'm going to start doing is just going in and burnishing some of these areas with some of the texture of the brush. And you can see that, you know, just by going in and starting to fill in certain areas, the whole idea here would be to start perhaps on the, let me go ahead and close some of these. I would start probably over in this area, and let me just add a layer here. We'll set that to, and I would start building these section by section, layer by layer. It's always good to work on layers when you're doing this. It gives you flexibility to work with clipping masks and layer masks as you go forward. So this one, you know, I could start maybe going in here. You know, maybe I want to use a different color. Give you an idea of how this lays in. And I had mentioned earlier that this brush and all these brushes in Klimt and Art Nouveau respond beautifully to just using your mouse and dabbing, okay? So if you don't find you're getting exactly the look that you'd like from the brush, then, you know, you might want to consider just going in and doing some dabbing with your mouse, and that will get you some nice effects as well. I love this brush. This one, of course, you can work. Let me back up a little bit and go to a nice gold color here. And I would probably start building this up as a pattern itself. And you could certainly change the size, get more intricate, change color. And just really have fun with this. When I first started working with this brush and putting in some of these designs, it started to get very complex in terms of how you apply the pattern, where you apply the pattern, and, you know, the overall effect that you're trying to achieve here. So you're going to find that for the most part, I think the beauty of this is experimenting with the brushes. Just open up a big canvas, just have fun with the brushes and see what they do first. And this is just a dabbing effect here, okay? I'm not doing anything but just simple dabs, okay? No long strokes or anything like that. This is all just pattern work and filling up the certain sections as you get going. Let's move over to some of these rounds. These are beautiful too in the way that they fill in certain areas, and you can see that there's a definite pattern in this brush. This is kind of a copper color here. Again, I'm not changing layers, but I think you get the idea of where I'm going with this. And I'm just doing a little bit of dabbing, and I'm actually using my mouse for this and just clicking and applying the pattern where I want it. You can also change and rotate if you're not using an art pen. Of course, you can just rotate the brush in the direction that you need it to go. It's just lots and lots of fun. There's a couple of round brushes here as well, and I'll change color and maybe bring the size up a little bit. And this one I'm actually just dabbing in as well. And you can see that you get some great design there. This is a pattern that you see quite often in Klimt paintings, and it's a pattern that you'll find a place for it, and it'll all start working together as you start building. And there's a let's see, the other one that I really like here is the variable texture, and I'm going to use that for her hair, and a little smaller, I think. And we'll take a look at that. You can see that the grain for that particular brush is custom. And I don't think I used any texture in this one. It was just a really, really fun grain that I created using a structure from. And I'm using structures a lot for my grains. Next, let's go into these Art Nouveau brushes, and let's add a new layer here, and we'll make that metallic as well, and just have some fun with some of these flower type shapes here. And again, you can use your brush or just dab these in. This is a nice one where you can, I would probably change the size and do kind of a pattern effect here. Here's another Nouveau brush. We'll pick up nice gold for that. And for her necklace, I'll go back to the original. I used this one called Pastel Pattern. And what I did is picked up a beautiful kind of a silver color here and used it at a relatively small brush size, and then just created lots of these little diamond effects. And I did this on a layer, which I'm not doing right now, a new layer, because I did go, over a little bit, which I wanted to. I wanted almost the appearance of jewels coming outside of her choker, I think it is what it is. And just have those come down. And when you zoom in really quick, you'll see that they're the shape of little birds flying, which is kind of pretty. And then with an eraser, I can go in and just erase. Let's just use a nice soft at high opacity, and then I can clean that up. I wouldn't necessarily use a mask at this point. There's no real reason for it. If I had done it on a layer like I should have, then I wouldn't be affecting anything else here. So remember to use layers, real important. Okay, we'll go back to the custom brushes. And I love these. These are really fun brushes. They're kind of circular shaped, gold. And again, use them at, you know, different sizes. And you'll have fun working with that brush. There's a big flower brush here that's kind of pretty. You can definitely make it larger if you want to apply it bigger, something like that. This one is one of my favorite brushes. It's called Nouveau 23. And I think what I'll do is go ahead and pattern this out a little bit down towards the bottom here so you can see this brush really clearly. But you can see how, I'll zoom in, you can see how it has a solid center and then a very opaque surrounding. This is where the textures comes into play as you create new and exciting brushes. So my suggestion is to really get in there and play with these brushes. Get a feel for how they work on layer by layer. And we'll go ahead and go back to the original image here. And feel free to paint her any way you'd like to and just have fun with it and explore these brushes. You may even want to go a little bit further and evoke the smudge and liquify tools. And one of my favorite is the liquify twirl using the soft, and maybe take some edges and just have fun with some of the edges of the painting, creating some beautiful design features as well. So I think you'll enjoy doing that. You can certainly enlarge the canvas, and you can see that I created kind of a canvas effect around the image, and that was done with the canvas size and then just pulling out from the tops, sides, and bottoms to create a frame around the piece, and then adjusting it. And finally, you can always go in and add your deckled edge if you're using a paper that supports deckled edges. And you can get something like that. Let me go back, and even in the lighter color, I think it looks really great. You can change your paper color, and remember now in Rebelle 7 we have that ability to pick and choose any color we want with any of our papers. So this gives us a lot of flexibility to work really beautifully with these new options for coloring our paper. So I hope you'll enjoy this, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, and have fun with the new brushes, Art Nouveau and Klimt, and I hope to see some of what you create on the Rebelle Gallery. Take care.